It was time to do some maintenance on my gear. So it's a nice day. I came out here today cleaning up my kayak and gonna re-rig my rods. I was out fishing yesterday, so I'm just cleaning everything up. And I thought it was a perfect opportunity to show you how I rig my rod and reels for inshore fishing. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Everybody has their own knots that they trust and they're familiar with, and I'm no different. I started out bass fishing in my early teen years, and I did that for 15 years. But the area I'm living in now is not much for freshwater fishing, so I kind of transitioned to saltwater. But back in my freshwater days, I was a huge avid fan of Bill Dance, and Bill Dance used the uni knot, and so I just adapted to that, and I've used it ever since. It's a knot I trust. It's a knot I can tie in my sleep, and if I need to tie quickly, it's my go-to knot. So I've also adapted that to saltwater fishing and tying leaders on. So I use, from my leader to my main line, I use the uni to uni knot, which is just a double uni knot and joining the two lines together. Some people don't like it. I've never had the knot let go on me. I've never had that knot come apart, so I trust it. The only downside that I found with it is sometimes it will pick up debris in the water, grass, it'll, but it's not enough to make me quit using it. Now I have the last couple of years started using the FG knot, and I'll try and post a link to that in the description box. But if I tie the FG knot, I usually do it if I'm rigging at home, not when I'm on the water, just because it's in depth in tying, and it's not something that I can just tie quickly. I'm still, every time I go to tie it, I still have to relearn it. It's not an easy knot to tie. So if I'm out in the water and I'm on fish, I always go to the uni knot just so I can tie it quickly and get right back to fishing. To my lures, I use what's called a canoeman loop or a canoeman's knot. And what that does is allow a little loop for the lure to rest in, and so it gives a full action of the lure. So I like using that knot to my lures. Occasionally, if that knot won't work on say a soft bait or something, then I'll just tie again the uni knot to the soft bait. But the uni knot and the canoeman's loop are just my main two knots. I've been using them for years now, never had them fail me, so I trust them both. So today I'm gonna rig up my rods, and for inshore fishing I like 2500 reels. They're small, they're lightweight, so I fish artificials extensively, so all day casting, it doesn't wear your wrist out casting this all day. It's plenty of power for inshore fishing, and I couple that with usually a 7-foot rod. I have 3 7-foot rods. The only rod that's different is this is my topwater rod. I go to a 6.5-foot medium fast action. The stiffer tip I like to be able to, with my Zero spooks, to walk the dog. So that's the rod and reel gear that I use, and I have 3 more, and those are all 7-foot. But first thing I like to do when I'm re-rigging after I get it untangled is I'll cut the leader off. And then I'll take like the first few feet of my braid, and I use 10-pound braid. Plenty of strength for anything inshore. Braid is very strong. There's no give in braids, which is why you need either a monofilament leader or what I use is 100% fluorocarbon leader. I have used 15-pound braid before, and I just don't get the distance casting. I like to go with the lightest gear I can get away with. Number one, I think you catch more fish because they can't see it as well. And number two, I can cast this a mile. So I'll use 10-pound braid, and probably 95% of the time I'll have 20-pound fluorocarbon leader on. I do have 25-pound and 30-pound fluorocarbon, and I also have 40-pound. The only time I go as high as 40 is if I'm specifically targeting snook around docks. You need something with some backbone and something that's he's not gonna be able to break you off easily. With the thicker fluorocarbon, obviously they can see that a little better, so that's the downside to that. But if you're fishing docks or any kind of structure, rocks or whatever, I highly suggest 40-pound leader. So with that, let me get set up with another camera here, and I'll show you how I tie my knots. Okay, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I like using Yozuri fluorocarbon leader. This is 20-pound. If you notice, I don't know if you can see this in camera or not, but it's kind of got a pinkish tint to it. Don't quote me on this. I think I might have read somewhere that fish can't see red, so I think that may be why this kind of has a red hue to it. But nevertheless, I like it. Fluorocarbons, for the pound weight, is thinner than monofilament, and I believe it's stronger, so that's why I like using it. But let me get into the first knot here, and we're going to tie a uni to uni knot. So I like between 12 and 18-inch leader, so I just pull it off the roll, start with the first end. Then I'll get my braid here. I'll try to do the best I can to see if you can see this. But I just lay them across each other, like so. Then I'll usually start with the leader. I'll pull off, I don't know, a good 4 or 5 inches. And then what you want to do is turn a loop like this. Now you've got a loop laying there. See if I can get in the sun here. Show you. Okay, now you got a loop laying across your braid like that. Okay, so I'm going to go around the braid and the fluorocarbon through the loop 5 times. That's what it looks like. So then I'm not gonna completely tighten it, but I'm just gonna pull it together. And because my brain's wired to do things left to right, I usually flip the line around because it's hard for me to do it the other way and left-handed. So then I'll flip it around. Now I've got the braid side. And I'm just going to do the same thing. Just make sure you get enough line there. Okay, you can see that, hopefully. I've made another loop, just turned a loop. Now I've got the braid and the fluorocarbon. And this time I'm going to do 6. Because the braid's so thin, I like to do 6 on this side. So I'm going to wrap that through the loop. Make sure you go around both. You're going around the fluorocarbon and the braid. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
and then I'm going to pull that tight. So if you can see that now, what you've got is you've got 2 uni knots there. Pull a little closer together. You got 2 uni knots there, and I don't fully seat them yet. Pull that one a little tighter. Okay, but I've got my main line here on the right and my fluorocarbon on the left, and there you see the 2 uni knots. We're just joining the 2 lines. So I'll pull it together but not completely tight. At this point I'm going to put it in my mouth to moisten the knot, to give it a little bit of lubrication. Okay, now that I got it lubricated, I'll kind of twist it around and I'll just pull the 2 knots together. Sometimes you got to work it a little bit, get them good and tight. So now if you can see that, I've got the uni to uni knot and 2 little tag ends. So at this point I'll take my scissors and I'll just cut those tag ends off as close as I can. You don't want to cut the knot, just cut it off as close as you can. Okay, so now I've joined my 2 lines together. That's a uni to uni knot. Now what I'll do is I'll pull off 12 to 18 inches worth of leader. Normally I like to stay closer to 12. I kind of like a short leader. It's just my preference. I don't like a lot of, because I don't like to wind this knot up into the guides, because I think it destroys your guides and the knot. So I'll pull off about, I guess it's probably about 16 inches or so. And then I'm going to cut that off. Now I've got my leader. And at this point is where I'm going to tie it onto my lure. And it's the warm season and we've got snook around, so I'm going to switch this color up. I'm going to go with the red and white on the Zero Spook. As you can see, that thing's pretty banged up. Caught a lot of fish. So now we're going to do the canoeman's loop. There's my line. Now this knot is going to look similar to a clove hitch. It probably is pretty close, but you just want to take and turn a loop. See what I just did there? I just turned a loop. Now I've got it in my fingers. Now I'm going to hold that, and I'm going to take and turn another loop. So now you can see I've got 2 loops there. I'm going to take the second loop that I just made and I'm going to stick it through the first, and then I've got it between my 2 fingers. If you can see what I did. Now you take your lure and that little tag end sticking there onto the eye of that lure, and that second loop that you just stuck through the first one that's sticking up there, you're going to run that tag in right there. Whoops. Try not to drop it. Okay, run it through the eye of the lure. And that second loop that's sticking up there, I'm just going to run the tag through there. And I'm going to hold it. And I don't like a real big loop, so I'll just kind of judge when I pull it down. That's probably about good right there. And the same thing as the other knot, I'm going to stick it in my mouth to lubricate the knot. Then I'm going to tighten it up. And the thing I like about this knot is that tag end See if you can see this on camera. That tag end is pointed back towards the lure. So as this is going through the water, you don't have a tag end sticking forward, snagging grass. It's going backwards, so the grass will just ride right over it. But I'll take and cut that tag end off as close as I can anyway. And then there you go. You got a loop. As you can see, what that does is see how that lure just rides around that loop. It allows that lure to get the most action possible, which obviously you want as much action as you can get to draw more strikes. So that's called the canoeman's loop, or canoeman's knot, however you want to. Not sure what the exact term is, but I've heard it referred to both. But there you go.
Well, I hope that was informative to you. If you're new to inshore fishing or any kind of fishing and you haven't established your knots yet, I highly suggest these two knots. They work. They worked for me for quite a few years. If you're already a seasoned fisherman, let me know in the comments section what knots you like. I've caught a lot of fish using these knots. Like I said, I've never had them fail on me, so I trust them. I hope it's informative. I hope you guys get out there and catch lots of fish. If you like the video, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.